right, Mitch, Bernsey and I had a conversation yesterday on the NFC West, and something that we were looking at was, is this the type of opportunity that the Cardinals must take advantage of? And what we mean by that is we're going into a year where it seems like the NFC West, by all indications, is going to be at least open, if not wide open. Theoretical conversation, like that's kind of what we remember, right? I went in and actually did the dirty work and looked at the teams that won the NFC West. Since 2010, when the Seahawks and the Rams combined to go 7-9 to tie for the division lead, every single division winner has had a win percentage of .60 or better. So the 49ers went 13-3, 11-4-1, then the Seahawks went 13-3, 12-4. It goes on and on between like 11, 12, 13 wins all the way up until last year when the Rams and Seahawks were 10-7 and finished below that as well. This has been a division for just about 15 years now that has either you've gone into the year and you've known who the big dogs are and they're going to be some of the best teams in the NFC, or that a team is going to come out of nowhere and do something like the Cardinals did with Kurt Warner where they go 13-3, like that kind of situation. Yeah. Right? This has been such an oddity with their division where if we went into this year and we see a team win 12 or 13 games in this division, I am going to be surprised. Now, will I be shocked based on the pedigree of the Rams and the 49ers? No. But when you look at what the 49ers went through last year, all of the changes that they've gone through going into this year, all the bodies that they lost, and this Matthew Stafford thing in LA right now, this is a golden opportunity that seems to be forming for the Cardinals right now. Golden.
So let me expand this scenario, and let's pretend that Matthew Stafford's injury is far more severe, and the Rams are working their way through their season with, let's pretend it's Jimmy Garoppolo as the main starting quarterback. Everything else is the same, but the biggest significant loss is Matthew Stafford for the whole season. Do you feel confident that the Rams under Jimmy Garoppolo could win more games than the Arizona Cardinals as they are right now? That's where I start with this, and that's only because the Rams I would still pick as my division winner, assuming that this Stafford injury doesn't linger through the whole season, but I have a bad feeling that it's going to.
It's one of those things where everyone's like, don't worry, it's fine. Yeah. And it's like, you keep telling us not to worry and that it's fine, so I'm starting to believe it's not fine.
Have you seen the original Naked Gun?
Sure.
With Leslie Nielsen, the scene where the doctor crashes into the fireworks on the... It's nothing to see here.
Yeah, the GIF.
Are exploding in the background.
Yeah, the very infamous GIF. Here's Adam Schefter yesterday telling us again, like, it's fine.
I don't think that they're overly concerned, and I think if they had a game this week, Matthew Stafford would be playing in that game. They're just being extra cautious and extra careful, as they should be at this time of the year. I believe that when opening week rolls around against the Houston Texans, Matthew Stafford will be out there playing. Now, again, if there's a setback, that's the concern, I think, that there's a setback, that it gets worse. And it's a back, so that I guess that always could be. But I'm just telling you, having been there, they certainly do not have a high degree of concern that this is going to be a major issue.
I can't remember what that cut's dated, but I think it's after the time that he was supposed to practice on the Monday. When we learned on Saturday he went through a throwing session, didn't have any pain. Monday he was supposed to practice, didn't. Tuesday, didn't. I don't know if they were practicing today. But in general, it feels like the setback has already happened. It feels like I'm confused as to why Schefter's assuming there's no setback, because it feels like there already has been one.
Regardless, you've got a team in a situation where you look at what they're going to do on the offensive side of the football. I think the big success story for them, obviously, was their young players on defense last year, and that's why even if Stafford is going to miss time, we can't rule out the Rams right now because we know how their defense performed last year and how it's going to, in theory, it should get better because it's a lot of young players that they played last year. But you're taking the guy who is by far, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the division right now. Not the biggest Brock Purdy fan in the world, not the biggest Sam Darnold fan in the world. Kind of a fine fan on Kyler Murray in the world, I'll phrase it as. But I think Stafford's awesome. And I think that the Rams are obviously going to be a completely different football team if he is going to miss some time. In the way that they've been, I'm part of this, the way that we have been framing this season is a couple of different ways, right? You got to make the playoffs because it's year 3 of a rebuild, and it's Jonathan Gannon and Monty Austin for year 3. You got to make the playoffs because this is now or never for Kyler Murray. Burnsy's been saying you got to go win a playoff game.
Yes.
I think I would rank this above that. I would say you got to make the playoffs this year because the division's wide open in a way where historically it almost never is, and almost never is. 2 years in a row, it very well could be. Maybe Sam Darnold's like for real, and the Seahawks are about to win 12 or 13 games. I'm very skeptical. I think he's going to be running for his freaking life, wondering how Geno Smith made that happen with the offensive line that they've got. Maybe this is the Brock Purdy renaissance where we start to see like, oh, yeah, remember when he was maybe going to be the MVP for a while? Like that guy shows up. Maybe all these absences were lynching them knowing exactly what they're doing. Maybe Stafford's back is just fine. But what I've learned time after time in covering a basketball team here and covering other teams here is when you start to add qualifiers, you start to do it for a reason. And there are a lot of ifs for all of these football teams, and that bodes extremely well for the Cardinals.
But that also includes the Cardinals.
For sure.
I think there's just as many what-ifs about the Cardinals as there are about the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Niners. The difference is the Rams one is incredibly loud because it involves their quarterback who is aging, and this is a team that won the division last year. The Niners ones, it's just okay, are they going to be struck by bad luck like they were last year where all of their key contributors get hurt? They're already going to start the year without Brandon Ayuk. It looks like their wide receiver room is going to be very, very thin. There's still a little bit of a contract dispute with them and Jawan Jennings. Let's not forget about that either. So it's like the healthiest available receiver is Ricky Pearsall, who didn't get to play much last year because he was shot literally before the season started and didn't come in until weeks later. Christian McCaffrey, like, is he going to be able to make it through a full season after what he went through last year? And with the Seahawks, they go through this change where they say goodbye to two of their key receivers in place of Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp. They replace Geno Smith with Sam Darnold. And everybody's very high on that Seahawks defense, but we still need to see it on paper. Like, we trust Mike McDonald with what he can do defensively, but we need to see it in a consistent setting. With the Cardinals, it's just, can this continuity on offense and can these added pieces on defense really equate to a successful and playoff-bound football team? You know what I mean? Like, they have questions, but they're just not as loud as the other three teams in the division.
Yeah, it's more of like a base level of like needing to see it, right? And that's why I remain rather tepid and trepidatious and just lower on the Cardinals than most people right now, just because I need to see it, and we haven't seen it just yet.
They had a chance to win the division not that long ago. They were 10-2 at one point until they only won one more game, their final 6 or 7 it was down the season. They lost out on the division to the Rams, and then the infamous playoff game, et cetera, et cetera. So they had a chance to be already a recent division winner. That's part of, with everything that we've seen with how the seasons have ended, that's where it's
6-4 last year for the wide open division. Like, that wasn't a wide open division year. This was the wide open division year last year, and they failed to capitalize on it. And the reason why we're talking about the division so much is, I don't know if you agree with me. Let me know if you don't. The NFC is not going to allow a second NFC West team, I think, to make the playoffs. I would be shocked if the NFC West logs 2. I'm very high on Detroit, Philly, and Tampa Bay taking care of their divisions, and I think that one of Minnesota or Green Bay is going to be really, really darn good. I'm high on the Commanders as well, and like the NFC North might have 3 playoff teams again, maybe even 4 if you're high on the Bears, which good luck with that as always.
I'm curious about an extra South team. Only because what does Michael Penix Jr. do in a full season with Atlanta?
Atlanta, yeah.
I wonder if they're the sexy dark horse team that sneaks in and takes the 7th spot.
I think it's a fair team to shout for sure. You kind of want to do it with Carolina just because the division is so open.
I want to like them so bad.
You kind of want to. Me, the biggest Carolina Panthers fan in the world. You know me. Die hard Panthers fan, baby. Die hard.